Hi BDA family, it's Sherryl from Bright Days Ahead, and we have a very special treat for you tonight. We are staying at our very first Boondockers Welcome, and I am with our hosts, Julie and Kevin, and I just wanted to get a little bit of Boondockers Welcome from their perspective as hosts and what it's like and tell you about it, and maybe you're out there curious to become a host, not just to use the program if you're camping, but to use it. So we're going to check in with them and have a little fireside chat with them.
Hi, we are Sherryl and John. We sold our home and business in March 2020 and set out to live life differently, traveling the country in an RV with our twin daughters, Brighton and Daisy. We believe the best days are always ahead of us, even in good times. Thank you for joining us as we inspire others to seek the bright days ahead.
Hi BDA family, I want to welcome our Boondockers Welcome Host and introduce themselves. So you are?
I'm Kevin Kerfman.
And Julie Kerfman.
And how long have you guys been doing Boondockers Welcome?
This is our fifth season, fifth summer that we've been doing it.
So
So
a
5
season
years,
is,
basically.
5 years.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. And then how did you find out about it or get started?
As we got more involved with RVing, started looking for places to stay as we traveled around, and we kind of stumbled across the website. And so we got interested in, decided that'd be a good opportunity. We had have plenty of room on our place for, I figured, a site where people could park. And so we signed up for it, mainly so that we could stay as we traveled around, but thought some people might want to stop by here also. So,
Very cool. And so you guys RV yourselves?
Yeah, we're retired, and so we have time to travel. We stay here in the summer because the weather's okay, but in the wintertime, not so okay. So we like to go where it's nicer.
And so what RV do you guys have? We all want to know.
we have a 32-foot Arctic Fox, fifth wheel,
Oh, great.
and
Great.
had that for about 3 years now, I guess.
3 years.
Had that.
So then tell us, how did you find out about Boondockers Welcome? Had you used them before, or you found it on a website?
Just found it on the website and just checked out and read up about it, and it sounded like a good deal. We've always talked as we drove through the countryside that, I'm sure there's farmers or other individuals that let you park at their place if you just knew who to ask. But it's kind of awkward, of course, to go door to door, knock on people's houses. So we came across this, and that kind of does that. People that are willing are posting it, and then we can just find the sites and request to stay with them.
So, Julie, how many guests do you think you've had through the years?
Well, I think we've had about 300 RVs come through. So,
Oh, wow. And tell us a little bit about your property. Like, what do you, like, how many spaces do you have? What is here? Is it a farm? What is it?
Well, we've got 4.5 acres here. Part of it's an open field, about an acre, then another couple of acres of timber. And it's not really a farm as far as anything that we're selling, but we've got a good sized garden and just like a little space around us and a large yard and all. And then we have a shop and on our property. And so yeah, we got plenty of room around it. Initially we just made the one spot for ourselves before we discovered Boondockers Welcome, and put full hookups in it, 30 amp hookups there, so we have a place for our own RV. Then as we realized this might become a popular spot, we started parking our fifth wheel elsewhere and then making that available for the Boondockers. And then as it got busier, I went ahead and added another 30 amp plug in front of the shop, and we'll be adding another 30 amp alongside the shop to have 3 places with at least power hookups for people.
Oh, wow. So you're not just one spot, you have at least 3.
Yeah, we've got 3 with hookups right now. That one doesn't have the 30 amp, has a 15 amp cord for it. So we've got 3 with power and water. And then when it's dry and the fields are not wet, we've got the 1 acre field that we can just put people anywhere out there. Then we have another spot kind of in the back, a little area we made for ourselves as a little private camping spot and for family campouts. It's got a fire pit in the middle, and we can put 4 or 5 RVs around that. So if we have groups that request to stay or more than 1 or 2 RVers, then we can put them back there and they can have their own private spot back there.
Oh, wow. So it sounds like you have a good setup. And you probably got started like most Boondockers, is they had a spot for their RV and then kind of move it around. I know we Mochdocking at my parents' house, and we've done that. They moved their RV out of the way and then let us move in where we can have the hookup and water. So it sounds like you kind of got started the same way.
Right, exactly. Yeah, like I say, we put the first site in, we didn't even know about Boondockers Welcome, so but it's worked out well having that. So.
Yeah. Well, and have you had any groups at all here?
Yeah, we've had several people that are traveling together. So a couple of RVs would come together, and several of them have wanted hookups, but several of them check out that spot way in the back, and they're like, "Oh yeah, let's go back here because it's
Quiet
isolated
and
back
isolated
there."
Yes.
and private.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, then you invited us yesterday to like a 7 o'clock just gathering. Is that something that you guys typically do, or you just like how the group feels, or what about that?
Yeah, we've started doing that. Usually, if we have more than a couple, or if we have a couple of RVers or more, or even one, we get together with them and try to visit if they want to. But we found the group that we have several here. We go around and invite everybody to come up on our patio at a certain time, and everybody gathers around, and we get a lot of comments about that, how much fun it was, and it's great to talk to other RVers about their travels. And with a common interest in RVing, it just kind of instantly have a bond there that everybody seems to enjoy.
True, and I think we felt that. I think sometimes when you're out here, and we definitely started during COVID, and I mean, not that we haven't had camaraderie, but it was really nice last night just to have a little bit of that RV camaraderie and get to talk with people and have fellowship. So it was nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then tell us a little bit about like the logistics of if you want to be a Boondockers Welcome Host, what do you need to do, or how do you sign up?
Okay. Well, first you can go to the website, and the first thing I'd recommend is read through everything to see what it means. And the host sites can be anything from, many of them are just a spot on the side of the street where people can park for the night. And other places we're like ourselves a little more equipped, like a mini campground. In fact, some places even are campgrounds where they are willing to. That Boondocker welcomes people use the sites for a night or two. And I think maybe that's part of a way to kind of show people their property so that later on they might come and stay longer.
That's a great idea.
But they do offer it. The sites are always free. One of the rules is you can't charge for the sites. So they're free sites. If there is utilities, you can request a donation to cover the cost. I think there's a guide on the Boondockers Welcome site. I think it's up to $5 or so for the utilities per day.
That seems only fair, like if we're using your electricity and water to give a donation. And so I'm sure you found people, are they pretty compliant with like your rules and the donation?
Yeah, they're pretty accommodating on that and very generous on that. Some people pay more than what they've used. And occasionally somebody will use power and not pay, but I don't know how much power they use. So we do say in our profile there that if you just plug a coffee pot in for a few minutes, it's on us, don't worry about it. But if you're charging batteries and running a air conditioner or a furnace or something, then we request up to $5 a day to cover that. We did notice when we first started, after the first summer, our power bills for the shop, which was usually a minimum charge each month for the shop, was $50 or $80 a month. It took us a little bit to figure out why that was, and then it dawned on me the RV sites are on that meter for the shop.
On that meter, yeah.
So okay, well that's why it's a little bit higher. But.
Yeah. Well, so tell us some of your more memorable guests or what you've really enjoyed about Boondockers Welcome.
Well, the very first family that stayed with us was from France. And like I said, we were kind of expecting it to be retired couples mostly. And so it was kind of a surprise that there was, so many families out. But they had shipped their RV over from France over to Canada and went down the East Coast and across the South. And they were coming up the West Coast and stayed with us on their way up to Canada and then back on their way back down. And it was just so interesting to visit with them and see how they were traveling all over with their family and their kids and homeschooling. And
international RVers on your very first. That's crazy.
We've seen ones from Israel and Germany and Australia, New Zealand, the Netherlands, Ireland, just all from all over the place. Yeah.
And then do you have a typical, do you see like more like 50% retirees or like full-time families?
I would say probably 50 to 60% full-time families, I would guess.
Full-times.
And many of those
and some of
remotely.
the full-timers are also retired couples too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
We had one particularly memorable time. We had several RVers here, and one couple, they had a converted school bus that they had, and another lady had a commercial conversion bus that she had.
Oh,
And
cool.
the lady with the commercial one had come and parked in the site and then left to go to town to run some errands. And then the other couple came into the bus and they looked over at her bus and they said, "Is that lady from Australia and out of Florida?" And we said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, we had storage units next to each other for the RVs in Florida, and they'd helped her put a door on her RV when she was fixing up her RV. Well, then that couple left and went to town, and she came back and she said, "Are those people from Florida? They helped put a door on my RV when we were in this storage area there." So
What a small world.
yeah, they of course eventually they got together and got to see each other again.
Well, I don't think we've said, where are we right now? I don't want to say the town name because I'm afraid I won't pronounce it right, but where are we?
We're in Chehalis, Washington, which is halfway between Portland and Seattle.
And it's located right off I-5. So I think
Correct,
that's
yeah.
why you probably get a lot of...
Yes, I'm sure that's one of the
yeah.
reasons. It's easy to get to and pretty close to the freeway.
People like to go to Mount Rainier and Mount St. Helens and to the beach. So we're kind of centrally located for those places.
Yeah, you are. And you had two couples last night when we were here that are from just up the street, about 100 miles, right?
Yeah.
So
from
you get a lot of
Hillsborough,
locals too? Or...
We get
Not-
some,
not
yeah,
so
not a
many,
lot, but
but
some.
yeah. Every once in a while.
Some like one of those couples, that's their third visit here.
Yeah.
They just kind of found us and find us a convenient, a couple-hour drive, and they can be here and stay the weekend and do a little trip. So it's not just for people traveling through, I guess, but people sometimes a destination.
Destination.
And
to some
they are
extent for
also
them, but
hosts.
yeah,
that
they
couple
are.
are also Boondocker
Oh,
Welcome
yeah.
hosts.
I think you guys
So-
mentioned last night that you each had shared a guest or
Yes,
something like
yes,
that.
at least
They had a
one.
memorable rig. So
Probably
you-
more,
Yeah.
but at least
Probably,
one.
yeah, at least. So,
Mhm.
well, not to put you on the spot, but you're one of the top Boondockers Welcome as far as guests that come
We're
through.
second or third,
Couple
apparently, as
third,
far
yeah.
as the number of
Number
people
of
coming
people
through.
coming
Yeah.
through, yeah.
Oh, very exciting. So, if you had any advice for a potential host, what would it be?
Well, one of the big concerns that, in fact, I was just reading on the Boondocker Welcome Facebook page today, somebody's wanting to host, but they were concerned about safety and if there'd be people that would cause problems. And my advice would be, don't worry about it. The 300 guests we've had very little problem. A couple of minor incidents with trailers cutting a corner across the lawn or something when they weren't familiar with their rigs, but nothing significant that was a serious problem at all. And of all those people, absolutely zero concern on safety or theft or anything like that. It just has not been an issue. Yeah, in fact, just the opposite. We have people, in fact, we allow people to come and stay when we're not here. And my thoughts are I'd rather have people come and stay here so that people can see that someone's around. And these are people who have signed up. They're sort of screened by signing up with Boondockers Welcome. And you can look at the reviews and see if they've got good reviews or not. So in a way, they're kind of screened. And I'd rather have some of them around here and so that people that did have bad intent when they come in and cause problems while we're gone.
So, if you had advice for a guest, what would make like your good guest or a perfect guest? What should guests do when they're joining Boondockers Welcome?
Well, they need to be communicative so that you know their intentions and they request to stay and then we accept them, and then it's kind of helpful to know like what time they're going to be in. We don't always have to be here, but at least to know that someone's coming and
Get a good
when
idea.
they're coming.
Yeah.
And traveling is, you never know, but
Right.
yeah, just an idea. And then make sure that they read all of the rules that we, or the guidelines that we have on there, where you're supposed to be and not be, and where to park, and where the dogs can be and all that, because you don't want to ruin somebody's property.
Right. Right. So be respectful of the rules. I think that's a big one because Boondockers Welcome has a few rules, and then each host gets to write a few rules. And
Right.
then
Yeah,
to write.
And
they
do
can say whether or not they want grills, or whether or not you can have your slides in or out, or whether or not you can have pets. Everybody's is different, whatever they want. So
And give an example, like what's a couple of your personal rules here?
well, during the burn ban, we put
yeah,
up no fires and no fireworks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's important that we have on there that don't get off the gravel if it's rainy weather, because
Oh, yes.
anything off the gravel gets very wet and they'll literally bury
Soft.
their
Yeah.
rigs in a couple of feet of mud.
Yeah.
And so things like that are important to make sure that they read those. Other than that, we do mention in our rules the request a fee just because of the number of boondockers we have to cover the utilities, minor things like that.
No
We don't really have a lot.
doggies doing their business in the
Yeah.
And this lush grass.
And the green
Yeah.
grass.
You just mowed this, but like last night, I mean, it still looks great, but last night it looked like it was like fake, like you went and colored it or spray painted it. It was so beautiful. I love it. That's me being a desert rat from New Mexico, where we do not have grass. So yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
But I've loved it, like especially for families. Like you have in the background here is a little playground, and so my girls have gotten to do it. And then I just think it's neat that you have like the little garden to see, or I was going to call it the back 40, but the acreage back there to walk through. And then even across the street, you have the cows and turkeys. You put those there, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, it's a neighbor that has a
Neighbors.
turkey, but people always comment on the turkey. And just the other day, we had some Boondockers that had a very curious 4-year-old boy, and he was hearing the turkey. I want to see the turkey. I want a turkey. So I gave the neighbor a call, and he said, sure, bring him up. So we went to the neighbors and had a tour of their little livestock, the turkey and the ducks and the couple calves and different things that they had. So.
Yeah. Well, and we had a deer show this morning. We
they
got to see
come
the
through twice
deer.
a day.
I think you had twin deers, which is cool for our twins.
fawns,
Yeah.
Fawns, yep.
Little fawns, yeah. So.
Talking about the neighbors, we have other neighbors down the road a little ways that have a pumpkin farm, and during that season, they give little tours and sell pumpkins. And some of our Boondockers have gone down there before and enjoyed that. In fact, they said they were going to come back again this year during the season so they could visit the pumpkin farm again.
Yeah.
And I was visiting with him a while back as a friend of mine, and talking to him, and he said, so you got RVers at your place, send them on down. It's great to have them come this way. So.
Well, I think that's a little bit of it too, is like you get to like benefit the town as well. Like we ate at a restaurant, Jeremy's Table, Farm to Table, which was very good. And so I think it brings like a little bit of a community to your own community as well.
Yeah, and we have a link on our profile to the things around Lewis County to see, which is the county, of course, we live in. And so that helps the RVers so they can see what there is to see around the area, and also promote those businesses or activities in the area. So.
Okay, great. Well, then you're also RVers. So where have you been that you've loved, or what's on your bucket list?
Well, we've been to all 50 states, not to Hawaii and RV, but RV to all the rest of them.
Oh, wow.
And that was, right after we got out of college years ago, before our careers, we took a trip to the 48 states and thoroughly enjoyed that.
Oh, and a truck camper, you told me, right?
Camper,
Yeah,
right.
pickup camper.
Yeah, that was kind of a flying trip. From what we know now as RV travel speed, that was way faster.
Yeah, you said it was like, what, 2-3 months? 20,000 miles?
Right, 2.5 months, 20,000 miles for 48 states.
Wow. Are you going to redo that at any point?
Not at that
we
speed.
do, but we know places that we'd love to go back to after doing that trip. And when he retired, he wanted to do Route 66, which is a really fun trip. And we went down to California and started at that end and kind of went backwards to Chicago on Route 66.
Yeah, that is kind of the backwards route. Very interesting.
Yeah, we did that because of the weather.
Because of the time of year.
Yeah, trying to we're in the spring, so we wanted better weather when we actually came back through Canada. So we were hoping to get better weather by that time, and it worked out great.
Cool. Well, what's on your list to see or re-see?
One of the places that we loved on our 48 state trip was Hannibal, Missouri, which is the place where Mark Twain, and that whole thing. And so you can go see the fence that they whitewashed, and, Becky Thatcher's house and all this. And we went to a play there that was an outdoor theater, and it was just magical. And we'd love to go back there and spend some more time.
Well, and have you stayed at any Boondockers Welcome Hosts?
We've stayed at about 20 different host sites, and everywhere between here and
Canada,
down in Arizona and Canada,
Tucson.
Different places we travel. We found we've kind of had to change how we travel. We used to figure just drive a couple hours in the morning, a couple in the afternoon, so 200 miles or so a day, and stay somewhere. But now we're changing it more to where's the next Boondockers welcome place we can stay at, and adjust our schedule according to that. So we're getting it figured out to stay at more Boondocker welcome places.
And have you stayed anywhere memorable? Like, did the host do something fun there? Or?
My favorite place was in Tucson, and it was a single gentleman and had this gorgeous backyard with a pool. And we were down there in the wintertime up here, but it was nice down there. And he said, come into the backyard and bring your dinner and eat around the pool. I mean, we could have went swimming if we wanted to. It was gorgeous. And they had redone his backyard for his wedding. And they were not together anymore, but he still had this gorgeous house and this beautiful backyard.
What a special moment.
Very, very nice, yeah.
So I think one question I know John and I had, especially because we're trying to talk my parents into Boondockers Welcome, like what's in it for you? Like you don't get any monetary, right? You're not doing this for money. So what's in it for you?
Well, Boondockers Welcome does give you, for every good review you get 3 months free subscription to the Boondockers Welcome program. And right now, I think last I counted, we're good. Our subscription will go up to $2,095, I believe it is now. So we need to talk to them about if we can pass that down to our children. So they can use
so you can use it too. Yeah, but it sounds like you can camp free for a while.
We're real good there. But basically, what we get out of it, we just really enjoy it. We just feel blessed to have had our little place we have here, and happy to share it with other people. And a lot of people from the cities and all, this is very remote for them and a nice place to relax, and we just enjoy seeing people enjoy it. And
have you had any trouble with like the cities, like having people come by, or any problems with that? Is that a concern, you think?
No, we kind of looked into the rules earlier on for the county, and we're fairly loose here as far as restrictions on that. The way the Boondockers Welcome is set up, it's a 5-day maximum stay. And different things, and as long as people are just coming and going like that, we don't see any way that we're in violation of any of the county rules or anything. We've had a few questions from neighbors.
What's going on?
We mentioned the fifth wheel. Well, I thought you had a Class A. I saw that was the Boondocker Welcome program, and we tell them about that. But we've had zero concern on any problems with that whatsoever, being contacted by local authorities or anything.
And you mentioned 5 nights, but that 5 nights, that's a Boondockers Welcome, like advanced rule, but then it's up to the host to set a maximum, right?
Yeah, the host can set from 1 to 5.
1 to 5.
And then there's also a restriction they have no more than 5 nights within a 90-day period.
Okay.
That's in place. So
at one host.
At a given host, yes,
okay.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another benefit that they give us is a liability policy, because there is liability, having people on your property. So they
then they help with the insurance. Oh,
yeah,
that's great.
And that was a fairly recent ad that they put in fairly recently. You have to have your own homeowner's policy with liability coverage, and then on top of that, they'll add the other layer of coverage through Boondockers Welcome. So cool. It's nice to have that extra. I think we're pretty well insured anyway, but it's just nice having that extra layer. We've had zero problems of any kind of liability claim, but that's just kind of the world we live in. You need to consider that.
You just have to
have
consider
it covered.
It's consideration. Well, great.
Sure.
Well, so then what's next for you guys in RVing or traveling?
Well, we try every year to do a mission trip of some kind, an RV mission trip. And a few years ago, after Hurricane Harvey, we went down to Texas and helped rebuild houses down there. And then we've been down to Calistoga, California after the Butte fire burned over, specifically a resort ranch down there that we learned about. Went down and helped them for a few weeks. And then at Paradise, California was the last trip we went down and worked there, cleaning up some sites after the devastation there.
Right.
And so that's something that all that came about from, I was a firefighter for 30 years in the Chehalis, and I worked with a lot of critical incident stress debriefing for the firefighters and citizens. And it just all came together with our RVing and that to take trips to those areas and use our experience to help out.
Oh, wow.
And we also ran a wildland firefighting business where we contracted a couple of fire engines and crews to the government to help fight wildfires. So that we saw the devastation on those fires and what happens, and feel like we just like to help out in those areas or other disasters where we can be of use. So.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, and then you're mentioning, Julie, that even locally, sometimes you help with search and rescue. And how does your RV help with that?
When they have a search and rescue, we're on the list to get dispatched, or not dispatched, but notification. And so if we're available, then we can call the deputy that's in charge and see if they could use our RV. And we usually take it if there's a place that we can set it up. And then if the family of the missing person, sometimes, if they're missing up in the mountains, the weather can be terribly cold or wet or something, and we can make some hot food. We can have a place they can get in and be dry, away from the, what's happening outside. Or sometimes they've sent their kids in with me to have hot chocolate, and while the parents are dealing with some pretty stressful situation. So
Wow.
We just do that.
It sounds like you guys are just true blessings to the RV community through hosting and through your mission work. And I'm just so blessed that we got to meet you and interact. I mean, what a special thing.
Yeah, well, we're enjoying it. So.
Yeah, very much. So.
Well, very cool. Well, thank you. I'm so glad we got to stay. So if you are interested, we're going to put links below on Boondockers Welcome, and I'll even put a link in case you're in the Chehalis, the Chehalis, Washington area. You'll have to come visit Kevin and Julie. And I just want to thank you again for hosting us and being our very first Boondockers Welcome host. So we've really enjoyed it. So
Welcome to Boondockers Welcome.
Well, thank you.
Hope you enjoy it.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this fireside chat and learned a little bit more about Boondockers Welcome. Please don't forget to subscribe, and we just hope that you and your family have more bright days ahead.
A lot of fun, huh? Go back towards the shop.